Hello, welcome to Precision Bodge. Today we're building the RX7 engine. Previously you saw we ported the housings. The ports aren't perfect, but they are pretty good considering we didn't use porting templates. And hopefully it will actually prove itself and not actually break any seals or have any other problems. And we'll be using some new bits, some old bits from the RX7 engine and some bits from the engine that I bought from my Daihatsu. That unfortunately wasn't in the best condition, but luckily some things were near perfect there, so they made their way onto here. The irons actually are for the Daihatsu engine and the housings are from the RX7 one. So let's get started then. So we're going to start off removing these oil control seals, pretty easy. This, you probably need a small screwdriver for it, but I'm just going to do it gently. Yeah, so the seals inside of here. It's a good idea to change them. I don't know if they needed changing, but I got them with my rebuild seal kit, so might as well. The fatter one goes on the small one. And this notch has to line up with the cutout there on the spring. Turns out that this little part that holds the oil control ring, there's a small groove it's really difficult to see because I never noticed it myself, that the spring must go into first. So here on these corner seals, they use these little springs. I'm reusing them. I don't think they were bad or worn, anything like that, so I'm going to stick them in. The next thing we're going to do is put these corner seals in. There's a stamp there, so I'll just use it like this. Springy, so it's all good. And I'm not changing these springs either. Just gonna keep them as they are. Now I had problems with them. The only springs I will be changing is the apex seal springs because there was chattering marks on the housing. Just want to make sure that they actually spring up and down. Yeah, they do. I am reusing these side seals. Never had a problem with them, but I just need to check their clearancing to make sure they're all good. I'm gonna check it according to the manual, and if not, I'm gonna grind it down. The rotor bearing is also good, so I'm not changing that. But the stationary gear bearings were worn, so I'll be replacing them with genuine Mazda ones. So according to the manual and forums in general, here, the smaller that you go, the better on your clearancings, because it will improve your compression. However, you don't want to go too small and then have it butt up. This is the smallest clearance you can run. It's 0.02 thou or 0.05 mil, and if I slide it in like this, I can just slide this in and out, so it is above this size. It's probably 0.06 or something like that. Let me just so this still moves in and out, so it's probably 0.08 or 3 thou. So this side's done. Same thing on the other side. Just going to repeat it. Apex seals, I'll be using these. I've heard really good things about them, also heard shit things about them, but not as much, because there's lots of apex seal debate on there, as with anything, like Subaru, what's the best vape, or yeah, gonna use them. Apparently they're pretty good on the housing, because some are really good seals but they don't last for long. Some are good seals but they're not good because they eat up your housings, which costs a lot of money. Some just shatter and pretty much are the same like Mazda ones but cheaper, and these are apparently deformed under a detonation and can hold 50 pounds of boost without problems. I'm not going to be doing anything crazy like that. I'm going to be keeping it more mild. But with these, if there was some detonation, all that will happen is it will deform the seal. The seal will deform. It will lose compression in that rotor, so outside the rotor, and it wouldn't eat up the housing, which is the expensive bit. So I'm just going to lube it up. It's better to use Vaseline because it actually dissolves with your oil and everything, but I'm pretty sure this is going to do the same thing. but you don't want to pinch your O-rings. Other side also has them, so it's identical. I'm not changing the springs underneath these. Might have been a good idea to do it, but considering that these engines were rebuilt not long before they both failed, I think it's alright. And it was never smoking before, so it's staying like this. So now we're pressing out the old stationary gear bearings, just using a socket that's just smaller than the stationary gear. It's quite easy to do this on a press. Press the new bearing in, stationary gear. Now we're going to start assembling the engine. Going to line out the dome. So now we're going to start assembling the engine. I already put the front stationary gear in place. I'm not bolting it up yet, but it's just in place. So I'm going to start. Found out that it's easier to assemble it with no pressure on the eccentric shaft. You just can't assemble it any other way. That's why I'm assembling it on this wheel, as there's a big hole in the center. Gonna start off with seals. So I've already got these seals a little bit lubed up. It helps to stick them in place, but if you put them in dry, they wouldn't hold. Even now they're coming off. Now I'm going to put a bit more lube just to hold them in place. I'm going to put lube here, lube here. I'm going to use this brand. I don't know if it's any good, to be fair, but it should be good. It wasn't the cheap stuff. This is actually rated to a higher temperature than the stuff I normally use. And I'm going to put a little bit on here as well, because if there's excess, all it's going to do is going to squirt it out. And the dowel pins in. Yeah, I already got the O-ring in place. Last check to make sure that seals are in place. Yeah, all good. I've got the seals there. So next thing, the rotor. Everything's being lubed up, but I'm just going to make sure that these corner seals are not twisted around. When assembling these, you want to pack them with lube to make sure that none of these fall out or move whenever you're putting down the rotor slowly. In. Now, apex seals, you want these pointing up, because we'll print a little bits on the end there. Push it down up to the first little groove. You get your big spring. Put it in, push it down. Whenever you start pushing it and it starts putting the apex seal in, a little bit more down, then you get your small spring. In, so it's in that groove there, and then put this thing. Yeah, and it didn't rotate the corner seals because I put a lot of lube on there. But unfortunately, sometimes the corner seal rotates whenever you're putting the engine together, and it gets really annoying because you have to pull the rotor off. Yep, luckily it didn't rotate it. Just gonna press it in. Make sure these are fully pressed in so they don't come out when you put the housing on. I'm gonna put more lube on. I'm gonna put lube on to rotor bearing. I might be using too much lead, but whatever. All it means is it will smoke like crazy on startup, but I don't care. Now I'm just going to rotate to make sure it's all good. All good. So now I'm going to put the sensor on. Same thing as before. This already lubed up, I'll put some on. But just going to make sure that seal's in place. Yep. That is in. Gonna put more lube on here. Now I'm just gonna clean it up. Same thing as before. Clean up down here. Put the silicone in. Put it in on both sides. Because why not? I think you only really need to put it there, but whatever. So it's actually attempt number 4 of doing this bit, because every time I go to do this, something has to happen. I have to drop everything, then come back, take this apart, and get back to this stage. And fingers crossed, nobody's gonna call me saying there's a breakdown. I'm gonna put the center iron on. It's all been lubed up and everything from the previous times. Let's just put it on for good. I've got the center shaft up. Up, up, yeah, up, yeah. Yeah, let me check the seals. They're all in place. Yes, I did this without getting cool. Yep, sorry. Now I'm gonna carry on. Same thing as before. So now we're going to be putting these bolts through the entire engine. It is a good idea to upgrade them to some studs, or but properly stud the engine or dowel the engine. However, we don't have the capacity to do that at the moment, so we're just going to leave it as it is, but I'm not pushing the engine that much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lube them all up and put new seals through them. It's a good idea to lube them up to make sure that you actually torque them up properly and you don't rip your new seals. So one that's marked where E goes on this side of the engine, where the spark plugs are on the bottom, is just a tiny little bit longer than the rest. It's just plain engine oil. So I'm just sliding them through and putting them in the engine. There's so many of them, it feels as if this is a nuclear reactor. Kinda is, to be fair. Type in the YouTube comments below nuclear reactor, otherwise you're going to be visited by a broken rotary engine. If I built something wrong, then make sure to put it in the comments, I'll read it. So there's a sequence of tightening these tension bolts. I'm using them as the manual, and the torque spec, it ranges between the years and everything, but it's between 23 to 29 or 27 in some cases, foot-pounds, which is roughly 37 to 39 Newton meters. Initially, I'm doing it to 21 Newton meters or 20, just to go around it once using the sequence, and then I'll do a final one to 39 Newton meters to fully torque it down. It's actually quite surprising that the torque is quite low, but yeah, again, it's quite low on your rod bolts in piston engine. So yeah, I've already started it. I'm just on number 5. But yeah, all I'm gonna do is just gonna do it nice and evenly, then do it to 39 Newton meters once, and then go around it again to make sure it's good. And then if some of them require further tightening back down to 39 Newton meters, I'll do it a third time. We painted it silver, and it looks much better like this. I mean, even paint the spark plugs, probably change to them. So yeah, now we're gonna start assembling the front. It's pretty simple, but it took some time for me to get my head around it. First, you need to put in this washer. Thing's quite thick and it's got a chamfer to it, and this chamfer actually meets here. So the central shaft, you put that in, then one of these washers, and I'm going to put a bit of lube on there. Might as well. Just put it on, more on here. Probably too much lube, but whatever. I'd rather have more than little. Then you put this spacer on. Spacer on first, then these, but that's how we do things at Precision Bodge. I tightened them up. I'm not sure what torque they're meant to, but I've read on forums, there's lots of arguing or saying, oh, there's a specified torque and there's no specified torque or something like that. But in reality, these are not that important. I mean, they are important. Without it, you fuck up your engine, but as long as it's tight and you have a feel to what you're doing, then it's fine. Next is this thing. It's oil pump drive. It's on chain. I already packed up the oil pump. It will help it build up oil pressure and just don't want it running dry. I'll tighten it up later. This is the oil pump drive for the oil metering pump drive. However, I actually removed it from this thing because before it was just rattling and then stuff like that, because I'm not using it and I'm just pre-mixing, so I might as well just get rid of it. Then it's this, put a spring in. And there's some people block off these pellets, but I've not actually heard of them failing, and I think it's not really required to do so. And I mean, first you put the front cover on, but you must replace the oven here. It costs nothing, came with the kit. The one that I took off was really crusty. Same as the front oil seal. This one, when you actually press it, it cracks. So this has never been replaced. I've got a new one in here, so same thing with the back. I will be reusing this gasket. It's not the best thing to do, but it's just a simple steel gasket, and I'm just going to put a bit of RBT on it, RTV, sorry, and it will see. It's not like this is a vital thing. It's not no real stress on there. The RTV will easily seal. So yeah, I've got it all on. Just gonna put it on, bolt it up. So I'm not sure if I said before, got a new O-ring on here. Want to replace it, costs pretty much nothing. Plus I got it with the kit, so that goes in well. Now we can put all this in. I'm not going to put any lube in there because I don't know what type of seal this is. It might be one of those seals that use itself to kind of seal, and if you put any oil on, it will destroy it. So rather leave it as is, and I'm going to torque it out later. Now I'm going to put out the rear. When I built it, I made sure that it's all actually centered and everything, so this will actually slide in. I changed the seal here. Before, nobody changed the seal on here for quite some time. When they rebuilt it, obviously it wasn't changed because this was like a rock. And yeah, got new bearings in. Now we're just gonna put some grease on there. Same thing as before, I'm keeping the seal dry. Massage it in place. I'm torquing the front bolt up to 80 foot-pounds of torque. And now the back is, I'm torquing up to 450 Newton meters. I'm going to use my 3/4-inch torque wrench for it. I've got this bolt here. It looks pretty sketch, but I think it's going to lock it in place. We'll see. These are not actually tightened all the way up because I'm going to use Loctite on them. So yeah, now I'm going to tighten it up. Yeah, that's done. It'd be easier to do a smaller torque wrench, but it worked. So, and this actually held. So the engine's pretty much built. It still has a few little bits to put on, like the sump and all that stuff. However, I don't have the RX7 here, so I'm going to put this into Daihatsu YV turbo and put the rest of the stuff on later. I don't want to put the sump on right now because I might end up squashing it. So yeah, pretty much done. I would say it was actually really simple. You need some special things like a big torque wrench and all that stuff, but once you acquire them, you'll be able to rebuild your RX7 engine quite quickly. I'm going to put it away into here. It's a workhorse that I had to. Formulated rotary powder.